Hello, welcome to Prajim Technologies. I am Venkat. This is part 11, switch statement in C Sharp. In part 10, we have seen how if statements work in C Sharp. So in this session, we will learn switch statement, break statement, and go to statement. So when do we actually use switch statement? Actually, multiple if-else statements can be replaced with a switch statement. If you look at this slide, on the left-hand side, we have multiple if-else-if statements which are actually replaced by a switch statement. Let's look at an example. Let's prompt the user to enter a number. So please enter a number. And once the user has entered the number, we'll go ahead and store it in a variable called user number. So we read that number that the user has entered from the console, and we need to convert that to integer, and we use the int.parse method to do that job for us. So once you have the number that the user has entered, you can basically make use of switch statement. First, let's write the program using if statement. If user number equal to 10, then we can say console.writeLine your number is 10. Now, similarly, else if the number is 20, then user number is 20. Else if it's 30, then we print the message your number is 30. If it's not 10, 20, or 30, then we'll have an else part where we will say your number is not 10, 20, and 30. Something else. Number is not 10, 20, and 30. Okay. Now if you look at this particular program, it's pretty simple. So let's go ahead and run that. So please enter a number. We are asking the user to enter a number. So once he enters, let's say for example 20, and presses enter, it says your number is 20. Okay, so what's happening here? It first checks, okay, is your number 10? Now it comes to the else if part. Your number is 20. Yes, it prints this line, and then it won't bother checking the other conditions because this is else if. In the previous part we have seen why. Okay, now this entire if else if section can actually be replaced with a switch statement. So let's see how to do that. So instead of using that multiple if else statements, I can say switch, and I want to switch on this user number. Okay, so switch on the user number, and now the value in that user number can be any integer. So my case statement should actually be an integer. For example, it can be 10. So if it is 10, what is it that you want to do? I want to print a message onto this console saying that your number is 10. So we will say your number is 10. And we need to have a break statement. Okay, all I have to do if the number is 10 is print that the number is 10 and break out of the switch statement. Okay, similarly, if the number is 20 and 30, if the number is 20, then we want to print a message saying that the number is 20. If it is 30, then we want to print a message saying so. And if it is not 10, 20, or 30, then we can have a default case where we can say your number is not 10, 20, and 30. Your number is not 10, 20, and 30. And then obviously break out of the switch statement. So instead of multiple else if statements, we are using switch statement, switch in case. So what's going to happen here? The number that the user has entered we get that into this variable, and if it is 10, this piece of code gets executed. If it is 20, this piece of code, and so on and so forth. And we need to have break statement after each case statement. Okay, so if it's 10, it executes this and breaks out of the switch statement. So if I go ahead and run this program, and if I enter, let's say 20, so it comes to that piece, 20 executes that line and breaks out of the switch statement. So break statement, why do we use it? To break out of the switch statement so that the rest of the pieces of code are not executed. Okay, now let's slightly change this program to to understand another concept. We can have multiple case statements together. Actually, I can remove that, and a slight modification to this program. So I'm saying case 10, 20, and 30, your number is 30. Instead of hard coding that, what I can do is I can use a placeholder, and then if it is 10, 20, or 30, print that number. If it is anything else, then we say your number is not 10, 20, and 30. Effectively, what we are doing here is we are joining multiple case statements together. Now, this case statement doesn't have any code. This case statement doesn't have any code. The only code that's present is on this case statement. So if the user number is 10 or 20, what's going to happen? It comes here, there's no code to execute, so it falls to this, and there's no code to execute here as well, so it falls to this code, this case, and then executes this code. So for case 10, 20, or 30, the same piece of code gets executed. So it's possible to combine case statements together like this if you want the same piece of code to be executed for those conditions. Okay, so now if I go ahead and run my program, there isn't going to be any visible difference except that we have structured that a little different. So if I go ahead and enter 20, your number is 20. All right. So we have seen how to replace multiple if-else statements with a switch statement. Now we also have seen how to join multiple case statements together. And now we will understand goto statement. Actually, we'll create a productive, a simple practical application, maybe a coffee purchasing program. Okay, this is going to consume a little of time, so we will do that in our next session. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.